$15. Yes, $15. What the f? Hello and welcome to my experience of the CCA CRA, an IEM that will set you back a whopping $15. Yes, you heard me right. This was so affordable I even bought two with this one note and still had change. I know it says 50, but this is Australian dollars and I was talking about USD. You get what I mean. So can we even get good quality sound for this price, or does it sound as cheap as it costs? Let's find out. There is no unboxing because I lost the footage and I threw away the box, but it's about the same as the CCA CRA Plus, which will be in a separate video, and it essentially just comes with the IEMs, the cable, and some interchangeable tips. So let's talk about the design. The design for me is actually pretty good for its price. Simple, recognizable, and depending on which color you select, for the black, which isn't really black, instead you get this smoky dark grey shell with the dark grey reflective plate with the CCA wording on it. However, that portion is a fingerprint magnet. If it's white, it's silver with a translucent resin body. I personally like the black because of that smoky look. The cable itself is good in a sense where it doesn't tangle as easily. It feels like it could take a beating and it does its job. For fit and comfort, this IEM is relatively light and it fits me surprisingly well. There is a bit of an indent at the ends to allow it to be more snug in your ears. What else can I say? It's pretty comfortable. Before I dive deeper into his sound profile, I like to put a pin up there that everything I'm about to describe about the sound, I'm describing it for $15. For the bass, it extends surprisingly deep. I hear the rumble and growl of the sub bass in the track. There's also enough slam and impact to the bass that should get your head bobbing. Granted, it's not as full, detailed or textured, a little hollow on the sub bass and not as controlled, but as I said earlier, we're talking about... And for that price, you're getting a lot of fun from this IEM. For the mid-range, I feel it's slightly recessed, yet it's placed in front of the background music, which is great, but for me, vocals sounded a little softer, not as full or powerful. It's as if they're trying to sing at 100% but they're capped at 80% because they've got a walnut stuck in their throat. Again, an exaggeration, but that's how it sounded like for me. It's just not as clear as I've heard it on higher price gears, but I have to remind myself, and for that, it's good enough. For treble, unfortunately, this IEM is a little piercing to my ears, which helps in pushing through some of the details from the elevated bass, more on that later, but at the sacrifice of some people's eardrums. This is typical of V-shaped tuning, where to cut through all that elevated bass, you get elevated treble. And it has a bit of a treble extension, but trumpets to me still doesn't sound as full or powerful as it could be. I'm not going to play that clip again. For imaging, left and right sound is good, but it's not as distinct, and unfortunately it's only as good when there are very little sounds to pick apart. On busy tracks, unfortunately it just sounds a little messy and a little blended together, so I'd say resolution isn't the best, but good thing the treble elevation helps with giving you some level of details from this IEM. For soundstage, everything that I've mentioned earlier lends itself to having a slightly wider sound presentation. Because the details and vocals sounded a little softer, they tend to sound further away from you, but I feel it's like an illusion of a wider soundstage, and I would definitely sacrifice a little bit of that soundstage just to bring the sound a little bit more forward so I could hear all that sound in their full potential. For source, this IEM is relatively easy to power. I'm getting about 8 to 9 o'clock on my HiFiMan EF400, and on my ROG Phone 5S I still have about 20 to 30% volume left to spare. Granted, I have not tried a lot of very popular budget IEMs, but if you're asking me about budget IEMs, the CCA CRA can be a great introduction to this hobby, especially one who's seeking a V-shaped tuning. I don't think a lot can compete with the CCA CRA, especially when it comes to price to performance, but of course with this hobby there's always a new challenger up ahead, so I'm curious to see who can take this spot. But as of recording this video, this IEM is right up solely based on sound performance for its cost. Need I remind you that it's $15. For context on price, you could get 100 of these and still come up cheaper than the U12T. And you're not getting a $15 sound, but you're also not getting something that beats your high-end gear, so calm down. Your $2,000 IEMs and headphones are still safe in their place, but if you ever need something that you can sweat over or not feel like you're getting a prostate exam if you drop your $2,000 gear, well, here's your scapegoat. Get the cable with the mic and you've got yourself a really good headset for commuting. That concludes my experience with the CCA CRA. Do let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. What are your own personal experiences with the CCA CRA if you have one? If you enjoyed the video, do consider hitting that like and subscribe button. I do appreciate your support. Thank you very much for watching. Until the next experience, take care and happy listening.